So to start off, tell me a little bit about how you got involved in this show. Presumably, it was through your previous connections working with Justin Chon.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Justin Chuang came on to do the first two uh eps, and he contacted me. He was like, "Hey man, I want to try to get you on this." Um, and when I was telling me about it, I'm like, "Well, they're never gonna hire me because it's such a big show, and I haven't done anything close to that size before." Or TV before, but uh, I did a film called You Won't Be Alone with
Yes.
Lauren Stobleski that went to Sundance, and then that was a film about witches in 1800s Macedonia, but it was in the 1800s, so there's quite a lot of naturalistic kind of approach, and we were shooting in forests and mountainsides, and then it was a lot of firelight, obviously, because at the time.
Uh,
So Justin used that to convince people to, uh, I guess, yeah, have a look
to,
at me and then get me in the room to meet. It took him quite a few months, to be honest, because
yeah.
they had a list of people that they wanted him to meet, and he met with them, and they're all really talented and very experienced people. But yeah, the way Justin wanted to work is, we're shooting outside a lot. In Hawaii and in New Zealand, we're dealing with a lot of different environmental elements. So we're constantly shifting because of the weather or shifting because of clouds and sun. And, when you shoot outdoors, like you can't control the sun.
Right.
So it's just like working with that. So he wanted someone who was quite adaptable to his working style and to be very fluid on set and to kind of shift when we need to shift because we're always constantly shifting.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, finally after like probably a few months, he probably warmed down a bit. And then at that point, You Won't Be Alone had started to come out in reviews and stuff like that. And they could actually watch it. Um, and yeah. Brian Mendoza, who directed episode 5 and 8,
Yes.
he works closely with Jason. So I
Uh,
think he saw it and was like, "Oh, okay, I get what Justin's saying now." And then yeah, that led to the meeting with Brian and Jason Momoa. And then um, once once I described how Justin and I really wanted to work, they realized, "Oh shit, this is the same way we want to work." And we really kind of aligned in that kind of sense. And then yeah, then yeah, Jason called me and was like, "Hey, I want you to shoot the show."
it's gorgeous, and you know, You Will Not Be Alone is my favorite of
Oh, thank you,
your
man.
work. It's just a stunning looking film. So I
Oh, thank you.
totally see how that led to it. This one is definitely I mean, it is something new in your filmography.
Hmm.
And it's such a gorgeous aesthetic. Tell me a little bit about, first of all, you shot on the Red Raptor, correct?
Yeah, the Red Raptor for most of the series, and the Alexa Mini LF for the first
Uh,
two episodes.
oh, really? Interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just shot a film on the Alexa Mini LF.
Nice.
Great,
Yeah,
great
yeah, you
camera.
enjoyed
Oh
it.
yeah, I and it's actually stylistically kind of a similar kind of thing. It's an outdoor
Oh yeah,
kind of
cool.
epic style. Um, it shot in the forest, a similar look.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's a great camera. So, tell me a little bit about choosing the aesthetic for the show because I mean, there are certain I've noticed in particular your episodes. I mean, there's a fluidity between them all, but your episodes really have this just stunning color saturated look
Hmm.
that kind of set them apart. That I think this is probably totally coincidental. So I grew up like I've seen the original Jurassic Park a few thousand times, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think just
yeah.
because
Yeah,
that was shot on Kauai and you're shooting on Hawaiian Islands,
yep,
some of there are just some things that do it just triggered memories of that, but it has a
yeah, nice.
that color saturation that Dean Cundy brought to that. It did remind me a little bit about. I'm curious about some of the inspirations that
Hmm.
you and Justin and Jason and everyone had in
Hmm.
terms of the look you wanted.
Yeah, so speaking with Justin, obviously it's a historical epic. So we looked at a few historical epics that we, really liked, and then uh, was it that Terrence Malick one? Uh, Apocalypto.
I saw Apocalypto in there.
Yeah, and a lot of the films of John Toll, like He Shot
Yes.
Heart and Thin Red Line and even Tropic Thunder. So he was like, the historical epic natural kind of guy for what.
Oh, definitely.
So, we wanted to go kind of classical, like we wanted to throw back into that kind of side of things, but also have our own kind of like touch to it. But it is Hawaii and the greens and the blues of the water and obviously the wardrobe and the colors of the wardrobe. We didn't want to go too much of a look. We wanted to keep it quite naturalistic. Um, yeah, we didn't want to force a design like too much of a design look on it. Because we did want it to feel very real, but yeah, we didn't want to go too far with it.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
it looks like $1 million, and it's kind of surreal that like I found myself a number of times watching this, thinking just again, this is new territory for you, but I gotta believe it's like it's the beginning of something. And I literally found myself a number of times thinking, wow, he's gonna be the new John Toll. So it's funny that
You're very kind, man. Thank you, man. You're very kind to me.
yeah, so the fact that you mentioned that is really interesting. Um, so tell me about why obviously Hawaii, but why moving between Hawaii and New Zealand?
So when I first came on the show, it was in like what, May 2022, and it was all meant to be in Hawaii, and was supposed to be done by the end of the year. And then yeah, I went there when I finally got the okay from Jason and Brian. I went over there and started working with Justin, and at the beginning, the way the show was set up before Justin even had been hired, um, they were thinking of a small, not a small scale, but more of a TV approach, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was set up, and like if you go to Hawaii, Oahu, everyone shoots in this one place called Kulo Ranch. It's
Uh-huh.
like It's like a Hawaii backlot, like
Yeah.
everything's been shot there. Jurassic Park, George of the Jungle,
Yeah.
but it's a beautiful, beautiful place, but everyone's kind of shot there before. So you've seen that side of Hawaii, and Justin and Jason wanted something different with this show. Obviously, it's the first time something of this has been done in a scale for Hawaii, so they wanted to shoot in places that are, like they haven't seen before, and then so they switched a couple people around in production, and then they went back to the drawing board because Hawaii's, it's a beautiful place and the crew are incredible, but it is quite an expensive place to film. And then
Mhm.
yeah, then they brought on some new people in, and then it took some time for them to figure out where to go. Um, and they were looking all over the world, but New Zealand made sense. Auckland, uh,
Okay.
Aotearoa made sense because of the Polynesian connection.
Absolutely.
And yeah, then we kind of went down there and scouted, and we're like, okay, cool, yeah, this could definitely work for us. And a lot of it is unfortunately a money thing. A lot of it
Mhm.
is, they have tax incentives there, and the New Zealand dollar helps. Uh, they have the resources, they've shot James Cameron's done obviously a lot of work there, and they did the Lord of the Rings, the first
Yeah.
season of Lord of the Rings TV series there. So they have the resources, the stages, the crew, yeah, so it made sense. And unfortunately the way it is in Hawaii, like would have loved to stay, but it's just so expensive, and also the tax incentives aren't the best
Yeah.
there. And it's capped, I think, at a certain amount. And I know they're trying to change that, and hopefully this
Uh,
series can help change that.
yeah.
Because the Hawaiian film community is really struggling right now because there's nothing really
Oh,
being shot
oh,
there.
yeah. I hope it is able to change that. But yeah, uh, New Zealand does have some great, in addition to just being a gorgeous place, it has a
Yeah.
great film
Oh yeah.
community. It
Mm-hmm.
not only has a great film community, but it does have, I definitely can relate to what you're talking about the tax incentives because
Yep.
the crazy truth, like I was, have a Western feature that I was
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately fell apart several years ago, but I was wrote and was going to direct a Western feature that I had a few cast members from the Hobbit films that were
Oh
involved in those.
yeah. Cool, cool.
But so here I am in Utah, Western. I mean, the place that the classic Hollywood westerns
Yeah.
were shot in,
Yeah, yep,
and
yep.
we ended up at a certain point seriously looking at moving to the project to shooting it in New Zealand
Oh
because
wow.
of the incentives that were
Yeah,
there.
right.
So, and this was written to be a Utah Western, but we almost
Yeah,
shot it in New
right.
Zealand. So I
Huh.
totally get what you're saying there. Now, you in American cinematographer, you first of all, we talked before, you you tend to do some creative things with your lenses and
Yeah,
have some
yep.
really interesting ideas. And in American cinematographer, you talked about embracing spherical aberrations and some things
Yep.
like that as part of the visual language. Tell me a little bit about that concept.
So, like, yeah, Justin, we'll talk about lenses, it was made sense to try and get the 239 Panavision anamorphic look approved by Apple.
Uh-huh.
Apple, they had to approve the uh, aspect ratio because they don't normally do that over that size, but obviously it made sense to us because it's a historical epic, and
Mhm.
um, landscapes and people, and yeah, it just felt right to us. So we had to get that approved. Um, and we were looking at lenses from Panavision, and then Justin really likes his lenses quite messed up. Yeah, he just like we did Blue Bay on 16 mil, so he likes that more textured kind of like
Mhm.
messed up kind of character to everything. And I was reaching out to Panavision, just seeing what they had that was available for us that could satisfy a full frame um, at that ratio, and then Apple. due to their streaming requirements, needed 4K for the 239 aspect ratio, um, which is why we settled on the Mini LF and not the Alexa 35 and the Raptor. They were approved, but the Alexa 35 at true anamorphic is not 4K, unfortunately. It's like 3.8K or something.
Right.
And that camera was just coming out when we're prepping. So, but yeah, Apple can that. And then yeah, so then we had to, speak with Panavision, see what they had when it came to full frame, lenses, anamorphic, and then there's not a lot, but they modify that. And then Mike Carter from Panavision was like, "Hey, you should look at the T series anamorphics." And I was like, "Oh, they're like the new modern ones. They're kind of clean, right?" And he's like, "No, no, no. What we can do is that we can modify them and we can." Uh, mess them up for you uh, and then do kind of like a custom set for you. If you just explain to Dan Sasaki, the lens guru tech over there, that what you're looking for, then he can kind of like do a customized look for you. And that's what they had done for Mandy on Baz Luhrmann's Elvis
Oh,
film.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, Manny Moore.
Yeah, so then I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then, like, yeah, we got on the phone with Dan and I was like, hey, just, we're looking for this kind of look, kind of, yeah, feel free to mess it up as much as you want. And, we explained like, yeah, yeah, something classical, but also something kind of like, yeah, more funkier and, that he kind of like did his own thing. And, yeah, they just sent it to us in Hawaii, and then we started shooting some tests with it, and we're like, oh wow, this was great. And then then they did that recipe, lens modified recipe for multiple sets for us, and um, yeah, we really love what they did for us, and we had a few zooms as well, uh, yeah, working as well. So
Great. So I'm curious, you mentioned that you hadn't really done TV before. One thing that always fascinates me about the visual style of TV is here.
hmm
I mean, you came into this through Justin,
yep,
and the two of you like have this background. You and have definitely established a visual language before. But here, one, not only is Justin not directing every episode,
yep,
but you're not DP on every episode, but you're
yep,
shooting a couple of episodes without him. But then
yep,
the episodes that have neither of you, it all has to blend together in some I mean, they each have there's a specific look to your episodes, but it all has to blend together. How do you work to bring that kind of visual cohesiveness when you've got multiple directors and multiple DPs?
well,
How does that work?
with the directors that I work with is, we started with Justin. We started in Hawaii. We started on episodes 1 and 2, and then as soon as we started filming, um, everyone involved in Hawaii were like, "Oh wow, this is something kind of really great." And then then I started shooting with Brian on some episodes for his episodes in Hawaii, and then with Jason Momoa, he directed the finale. And we did the final battle scene in Hawaii for the finale, and that was probably um, the biggest episode in terms of like yeah, battles and scale and all that kind of stuff. So so yeah, we did that before we even went to New Zealand. Um, So I'd worked with all three of my directors, and the other cinematographer and the other director didn't come on at any point in Hawaii. They came on in New Zealand. Um,
Gotcha.
So we had or yeah, already shot, for what, like 8 weeks or something like
Uh,
that.
so there was kind of an established
Was it 8 weeks?
aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
so we shot in Hawaii and we were like rolling. Then we shifted to New Zealand and then we maintained that. The new director, new cinematographer came in. To be honest, they did something else.
yeah.
Um, yeah, they wanted to do their own thing. Um, and yeah, we just kept doing what we were doing.
Oh, well, it absolutely. I just can't say enough about how great that it looks.
Thank you, man.
It so if you would this is, again, it's a much bigger film. You talked about Blue Bayou and being
Hmm.
16 millimeter, and then of course he did Jim Paw earlier this year, which
Yeah,
was just
yep.
a gorgeous film.
Oh, thank you.
But there's so much. We, you've got a wide variety of different types of stuff here. If there's one constant that kind of links your approach to each of these projects, what do you think it would be?
I mean, it's a good question. When Justin, when he was thinking about taking this or when it was, obviously the huge draw for him and then what he was telling me what he wanted to do with it was obviously, this is the first time Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian history has been told on this scale and um, Justin's like, yeah, like, we always talk about representation for, uh, Asian American Pacific Islanders, but
Uh,
this is the Pacific Islanders never get the same, there's hardly anything.
no.
And he was like, I think I can do something interesting here and represent them in a way that feels very grounded and real. And yeah, and that's kind of like our like a big focus for us is to make this world feel honest and real and layered
Uh,
and has its depth. And so I think, yeah, everything that we kind of do, we always try to approach from what the people involved are, like the characters going through that world and trying to make it all believable and having, yeah, a real sense of like uh, depth to this world. So I think that's probably what connects a lot of these things is like, um, yeah, Blue Bayou was in New Orleans, and like we had a very strong kind of like having the characters live in this sense of place and this world, and yeah, a lot of our approaches in that was kind of similar to our approaches on this, and then once again, like being quite fluid with where we kind of want to approach things and um a focus put on performance as well, like um yeah, so.
yeah.
That's kind of like, yeah, maybe that's the connecting through line.
That makes sense. And I'm dying to see what this does for you talked about representation for Pacific Islanders. And
Hmm.
actually, when when I hear people question how much representation in film really matters, and
Hmm.
so Utah, I don't know if you know this, but there was actually a very large Polynesian and Pacific Islander community in
Oh, wow,
Utah,
really?
a
Wow.
very big one. And
Wow.
I'll tell you, if you want to see an example of how uh, representation in film is matters and is craved,
Hmm.
go see a Moana movie in Utah
Yeah, right. Okay.
because
Yeah, wow. Okay.
yeah, it's just you see how excited
Wow.
this community that is underrepresented in film is to see anything that represents their culture. And I think that this show is going to really break new ground for that and give something that is, I think it's going to be a breakthrough for that. So kudos
Yeah,
on
I mean that was
what
definitely
it's going to
obviously
do for
everyone
them.
involved, like obviously Jason,
Yeah,
we had so many cultural advisors, we had so many people involved that were like, this means something, and they'll constantly, we're constantly asking them, does this feel right? Does this feel real? Like, yeah, we wanted to do right by that. And obviously being in Hawaii and being there on the land and being, shooting these scenes on, especially like the finale, like the battle scene, like, yeah, like that's something that we couldn't have done in New Zealand the way that we did it, like we're shooting on a real lava field and
yeah,
you know, um yeah, that's never been kind of done before on that scale, like we had to build roads to be able to get the crew to this location and like
right.
and obviously it's a lava field, so we had to be careful with what, like what kind of impact we had uh and a volcano erupted the day before we were meant to shoot. It was like
That that
it's
doesn't,
incredible, like
yeah, that's not something you run. I mean, weather. I mean, like I've had rainstorms uh
yeah,
during the
yeah,
shoot, but a
yeah.
volcano is not something you encounter on every
Yeah, no, we had
project.
so many, yeah. Yeah, so like the weather is crazy in both Hawaii and New Zealand, but like
Definitely.
yeah, so
So,
yeah, we constantly, yeah.
so for the battle scenes and some of those big uh,
Hmm.
action-packed sequences, what was your approach to movement? What did you favor Steadicam or
Everything. Steadicam, zooms, crane, camera on a Super Techno crane. We had multiple cameras going at the same time, constantly. Just because of the size and the scale of the battle scenes, but also the time that we were given, which wasn't a lot.
right?
So, and then, obviously with action, you can't repeat the action too many times for,
Yeah.
like stunts and, like, we had an incredible second unit stunt coordinator, John Valera and Josh Bleibtreu, who was our second unit DP. Him and I, he was with us in Hawaii. He did the whole show with us, and Josh and John Valera, they were really incredible. The stunt team were, like they could set up extremely quick, and we could shoot a sequence and then move, like, and then yeah, once we finished with main unit, then Josh would go work with the second unit guys to kind of fill out all like the detail kind of stuff and he really got the show. He was with us in Hawaii, and he understood what we were looking for and where we wanted to go with the show visually, and then the importance of like showing more of a poetic side to certain things. And yeah, Josh and John did an incredible job. Um,
Right. Now there's some underwater stuff in
yep.
in this. What was that like? How did you do
So shooting on water and underwater is, like you're dealing with the elements again. The boat's always constantly moving. So we shot the whole shark sequence in episode one. That was all on in Hawaii,
it?
in the ocean. Brian Kealana, who uh is close with Jason. He's like the water guy, the water man in Hawaii. If there's anything
Uh,
that's done with water, him and his team um, do that
right.
work. They set it up. They support everyone. They had multiple people on jet skis, and we had a platform with a crane on it. And, sometimes the camera will go on jet skis. And then, once we go in the water, that was Don King, who was a local Hawaiian DP who shoots underwater stuff.
Mhm.
So everything you see in the shark sequence, besides the shark, is real.
Yeah.
Apple wouldn't let us shoot with real sharks.
Yeah, makes sense.
Um, Even though we scouted and we had a,
Yeah.
yeah, we scouted with sharks and, like, yeah. But yeah, it was all done for real, all done on the real water, so that's why it has this sense of
Hmm.
realism, because
Yeah.
it's for real. And,
Yeah.
yeah, testament to Brian Keelana
Oh.
and King and all those guys. Yeah, it was incredible too.
And it is surreal. I mentioned to you before I texted you that when I was first watching the shark
Oh, yeah.
sequence, that it's kind of funny that this is. I'm like, wow. It's funny that it has to come to this to see Aquaman really
Actually,
doing
in the
a
water, yeah.
really cool action sequence, really
Yeah.
underwater, doing something just
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
that is Jason underwater, and like it's difficult to act underwater and stay underwater and get
Yeah.
like get everyone in position and then getting the action, and like yeah, it's yeah, physically exhausting for a lot of people, but that sequence of the whole shark thing, like they explained to us what that, culturally what the sharks mean, and it wasn't like for us it wasn't like, oh, he's killing the shark. No, it's
Yeah.
like a offering from the gods,
Uh-huh.
and like we wanted that to really stand out and capture the spiritual side of things, and yeah, and I think we're worried obviously, if the shark VFX would look real, but the
It,
CGI,
it,
yeah,
I
I think
wasn't sure until you told me whether it was whether it was a real shark. And in saying that, I pride myself on having a pretty good eye for that. And I'm watching. So I have a big projector set up, like
yeah,
so.
yeah.
I have a whole wall, so I'm watching it on a projector on a big
Yeah,
image,
nice.
not just watching it on a little monitor.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was totally sold that
Oh,
that was a real
awesome. Cool,
shark.
cool, cool, cool.
I'm like, how did they get the shark to do that? Is amazing.
No,
So
yeah, so Brian Keelana, he figured out like because all of Jason's movements are real and he's being pulled in a way that is real with the shark. And then Keelana, like we did this test, was like, look, I've got this like I don't know what you call it, but it's like a device that you kind of hold on to.
yeah,
It's like a pod, but it's powered, so it kind of you hold on to it and pulls you through the underwater, and you kind of like move it around, like and then yeah, they use that to like as the force, and then that would just pull Jason and move him where the line of the shark would go. So every time where is he getting pulled? Like they were pulling him really, underwater, and yeah, they figured out a way which made sense and captured like the fluidity of what the shark's movement would be. And then obviously the VFX supervisors, all right, then Jason needs to be this high above because that's what the size of the shark is and all that. So it was quite technical, and obviously shooting underwater to get that is like, yeah, really, 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 really challenging. But yeah, everyone involved did a really, really incredible job.
and it certainly paid off again. I mean, like really, I think we're taught. I think the show's going to be big at the Emmys. I think it's going to just
I think.
truly. I mean, I'm a critic, so I see everything. And in terms of an uh, epic filmmaking, even though this is a TV series, this is the movie of the summer.
Oh
In
wow,
terms of epic filmmaking, nothing else compares.
wow, thank you,
It's
man.
just really, really stunning stuff.
Yeah, like yeah, that's what we justice. Like we obviously wanted to have our own stamp on it, and yeah, we just were like, hey, this is the way we feel would be right for it, and we didn't settle, and we didn't try to just like phone it into whatever, like we really definitely pushed, and we had the resources and the talent to be able to do that. Um, and there are times where it's like such a big scale of things, but like Justin and I are still doing the same things that we would do on like indie feature, like
Mhm.
we'll do the same kind of approach, like so that was kind of like quite liberating for us. And we're like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, there's a lot more people involved, but we still, shoot in a way and respond in a way and be instinctual and yeah, so that was a big lesson for us.
Great.
Yeah.
Just so exciting. So tell me a bit about what you've got coming up next.
Um, Next in a month, I'm gonna go to Poland and Serbia to work with Goran Stilevski, who directed You Won't Be Alone and Of an
Oh,
Age. So he's got his next film coming up. Um, yeah, so we're going to Europe to do that.
oh,
Yeah, it'll be our third film together.
nice.
Yeah, so yeah, excited for that, and obviously, getting back with Goran and Christina, the producer, and Bethany Ryan, the production designer, who was on Juniper, is also yeah. So we're all back
Oh,
together, and yeah, yeah. So that's yeah, we're gonna do that, and um, yeah, that's the
great.
next
Great. I can't wait to see it.
one.
I'm looking forward to that and see, I mean, I don't mean to like gush or like, but I really believe I'm excited to see where things go from here because I believe that what you kind of had to prove yourself for this one, I people are going to watch this and you're going to be in demand for some big projects
Thank
for
you,
this
man.
one.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
I've
no, thank you.